So I am actually in the process of writing about this, and I thought I would just share a little bit on canoeing with two people in the canoe. So, have you ever canoed just yourself? You canoe just yourself. You do all the work. But you also know what direction you're going. There's no confusion on that, right? Because it's just you. You may have to do more of the work. You might have to help create the momentum of movement by paddling and doing the steering, right? Keeping the canoe on track. When you have two people in the canoe, sometimes it's more work, not less work. If the person doesn't understand how to canoe, it's a lot more work for the other partner in the canoe. And I'm using this as an analogy for relationships. Relationships are absolutely spectacular things, but not if people don't know what they're doing. And quite frankly, most people do not know what they're doing. I did not know what I was doing. So it was more like being a pinball in a pinball machine. Bing, 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 up, down, back, side, right? Because I never really learned what were the components to good relationships. How do strong relationships actually, how are they created? Is it just like magic dust and presto? Sometimes chemistry feels like that. But 5 years later, 10 years later, 15 years later, you can't just rely on that. There's just time where you have to learn how to paddle in the canoe with somebody else. You have to learn what your role is. If both the person in the front and the person in the back are steering the canoe, you could have real trouble because you only need one person steering, right, in a canoe. But you do need the other person paddling. So it's a joint thing. It's a team thing. Marriages, partnerships, they're just small teams that have to learn the sport of the relationship and how to move that canoe forward. This is a super short video, but I just wanted to share that with you. Have you ever been in a canoe with someone who didn't know what they were doing? I was someone who didn't know what she was doing before. It's rough on the person until you figure out the cadence, right? But hopefully the canoe doesn't just topple over, right? Because there's certain rules about the canoe. If you do this, this will happen, right? Both positive and negative. If you paddle in a certain way with a certain cadence, it'll move. If you stand up in the canoe, right, very easily it could tip over. So relationships have rules, just like canoeing has rules. Relationships have parameters. And then inside of those parameters, there's the art of the creation of it. There's the beautiful chemistry of the people who bring their flavor, bring their certain something to the whole that makes the whole extra special. That's your fairy dust. But without understanding what the relationship is and how to paddle with your partner and who's in charge of what at what time, there's that communication. There's no synchronicity. And the best relationships have that synchronicity. Find the synchronicity.